Hello learners, in today's video we'll see a very the burning topic which is currently happening in India is Manipur. This state has been in conflicts way back before independence onwards. We'll try to understand the historical whatever has happened and also why currently there is a demand to be imposed of Article 356. See, something this kind of demand comes only when there is like the gravest situation happening in particular region of the country. So why such kind of demands or requests are being presented in front of the government, and also what is exactly happening in Manipur? Why so many people has to lose their lives? Why there's a lot of conflicts happening? So that and all we'll try to understand in this video, and also in today's article itself there was news about it. So we'll understand the whole scenario behind it. Before that, yes, this is yesterday's question which was being given in India-Nigeria relation. So I have asked you to solve this question. So the answer for this is your 1, 2 and 3 statements, because I've told you yesterday that Nigeria is our largest importing partner of the crude oil. So this statement goes correct. And also when coming to the global south, African countries have always been pro to India. So when we have proposed International Solar Alliance, they gave, a positive stance for us. So coming to this statement is also correct. And also in the recent news itself, when our Honorable Prime Minister visited the country, he said we'll be working on terrorism and also anti-piracy things. And also there's a small trick to solve this statement. If you see, Nigeria as a country has coast. Okay, here is, if you see Nigeria, it is having Gulf of Guinea over here. And we've known that Gulf of Guinea is very notorious place for piracy and all. So when you link, Nigeria with piracy, you can definitely come down to some kind of guesswork that, yeah, it can be related. So this kind of tricks will work when you do not know exact fact about particular option. So for this particular question, the option is 1, 2, 3. This is the whole explanation for that. Trade partnership and so data. You can stop and watch this. And also energy transition and ISA, International Solar Alliance, we worked with them. And also in our military corporation, and also we have exercised joint naval exercises to combat our anti-terrorism and as well anti-piracy related exercises. So coming to our topic, before getting into the violence, what exactly is happening, as I always emphasize, whenever there is a state or a country or a national park, anything related to geography specific, you need to definitely go back to your atlas and see to it that if there is any prominent place related to it, or does it have an international boundary, or does it have any UNESCO's recognition, such kind of things are very important. So when we learn about Manipur, it is very important for us to understand that it shares international boundary with Myanmar. Back then it's called Burma. So the whole issue somewhere around revolves over here when Myanmar was Burma, and also when Britishers were in the picture. Okay, Anglo-Burma wars we know, Anglo-Kuki wars also we know. In Anglo-Kuki, we'll see in the video, okay. So when Myanmar was Burma, the ongoing conflict can be traced back when Myanmar was Burma. So it shares the boundary. On the top it is having our state Nagaland. On the south it shares with Mizoram. On the west it is sharing with our Assam. So this is the whole political geography or political map of Manipur. Coming to your physical, the very famous, the only floating lake of the world is Loktak Lake. So it is present in this particular state. And also we have Kebul Lamjo National Park, the only national park of Manipur. So these are the two important locations one has to know whenever you see or hear about Manipur, coming to geography perspective. Now coming to the whole point, what exactly happened? Now if we see Manipur as a map, if you see from this space, let us consider this is Manipur. It is bounded by your hills, all surrounded by your hills. And in between, this small piece of land is valley, where the fertile lands are there. So the ongoing conflict, whatever is happening in between this particular region, and this particular region's geography is, it is surrounded by hills, and in middle it is valley is located. So the groups which are present, or the conflict which is revolving around is Meiteis and Kukis, but also Nagas had to play some kind of role in this, coming to going back to history. So back then, when Britishers were ruling our country, when they have to counter Burma, they thought that Manipur would be some kind of a safer thing where we can make it as a protectorate or a princely state. So when Britishers went to Manipur, the Meitei king, who was first a Meitei but later he converted into Hindu, this person has went and asked the help of Britishers. So when Britishers has come into the picture and they fought Anglo-Burma war and all such things, Manipur and Burma got differentiated. So Manipur has to, get resolved from Burma. But a new problem has started in the region. When Britishers came, they said that all the people who are Hindu or whoever are lying down in the valley region, you guys stay just over here, and whatever the tribes or whatever the groups located in the hills, you guys stay over there. Means they imposed divide and rule policy over here. So when the Meitei people were there, and when they tried to divide and rule, they've seen some kind of development happening in this valley region, and the Meitei people were getting benefited. So seeing this, the Kukis has to rebel with Britishers, wherein they fought Anglo-Kuki war. So the Britishers, to curb this kind of rebellious activities from Kuki, they have introduced Christian missionaries in these hill areas. So that is how Christian as a religion got spread. So currently, if you see, Meiteis majorly are Hindu believers, and coming to Nagas and your Kukis, they are mostly Christians. So this Meiteis, primarily Hindu, account for your 60% of the population inhabiting your Imphal Valley. Imphal is the capital of Manipur, which is at the center of the whole state. So Meitei people are located over here, and Nagas and Kukis, primarily Christians, of 40%, are located in the hill regions. So the whole conflict started when Meiteis people were, Manipur High Court has declared that let us give ST status to Meitei population. Fearing this kind of verdict, Kukis and Nagas have started rebelled. So the whole conflict has started when the High Court has verdicted that Meiteis would be considered STs. Why this ST, SC and everything has happened means, if we remember our Lokur committee, which has been constituted to segregate who comes under SC or ST status, who doesn't come under this, that kind of for that kind of decision to be made, Lokur committee was been constituted, and this particular committee have said that Meiteis should be belonging to OBCs or SCs, and Nagas and Kukis should be belonging to STs. See, there are certain kind of principles or certain kind of factors which this committee has taken place. This committee has this committee followed for particular community to declare as ST. So based on that factors, they have declared these two communities as your ST and this community as your SC or OBC. So when recently the Manipur High Court have said, after some kind of fight happened from Meiteis for ST status, when Manipur High Court has said yes, Meiteis also should be included as ST status, that is when the whole conflict arose. So we can trace back this to our divide and rule policy back then. Since they divided this kind of communities in two groups based on the ethnic differences, today that kind of flow has happened because back then that kind of incidents have took place. What is a trigger for the violences? When your Meiteis were included in your ST list, Nagas and Kukis were fearing. They feared because 60% of the population is them. So the whole development, whatever happens in the state, and also if we see our political leaders are mostly from the Metis. Now when they are given ST status, we know when a community receives ST status, there are certain kinds of perks given to them because it is considered they have been facing discriminations and atrocities back then in history. So fearing this kind of move, the Nagas and Kukis have showed rebellious activities. That is where the whole conflict has started. So this kind of topic is not for just news. This is important for your internal security and also governance. Why governance is, this topic has linked to your President's Rule, Article 356. So when this kind of things are happening, this kind of topics has to be taken example when you're writing for your governance questions. And definitely your internal security is important because the whole conflict is about ethnic conflicts. Insurgent groups, when back then Britishers have showcased this, when Manipur was first a UT and then statehood, when this kind of process was happening, insurgent groups have arisen. So everything, this insurgency, ethnic conflicts, all has to be put under your internal security section. And coming to your 356 or any kind of autonomous body has been introduced or autonomous council, or if any particular article has been imposed, this kind of part should be included in your governance sections. So in this way, you will link your current affairs with your static syllabus. So what is the cause of violence is your ethnic tensions. I have already told your Metis and other tribal groups. In the sense, Nagas and Kukis, they were having rivalries in land, resource and the political representation. This representation is mostly from the 60% of the population living under 20% of the land. I'm telling you, the whole state, it is surrounded by hills. Only smaller part is the valley where the Meti tribe is located. See, land issues. Imphal Valley is densely populated while the surrounding hills are reserved for your tribal communities under Article 371C of the Constitution. 371C, it's all about your Manipur's special status. Okay, the land rights, they have said that whoever are residing in the hills can come and acquire land in the valley region. But whoever are living in the valley region can't go and acquire the land in the hills region. It's kind of a very contradictory, very conflictory. This is the whole point. This is like improper governance, this part. The government itself is trying to do divide and rule. Already Britishers have done this kind of policy. So the violence has occurred. Now government has also come forward and did, when Land Reforms Act was being bought in 1960, this kind of verdict they said that the hills located region, people should not come and occupy, they can come and occupy the valley lands. But the people who are residing or inhabiting the valley region can't go and occupy lands in the hill region. So this kind of divide and rule can be seen by government as well. So this indirectly raised conflicts when Manipur High Court has verdicted that Meti people has to be given ST status. Economic disparities. Imphal Valley, which is Meti dominated, is definitely economically more developed than the tribal areas. Obviously, the plain region, whatever the development has to happen, here only it can happen because it's geographically friendly. If someone has to travel, if someone has to do some kind of developmental policies or some kind of implementation, the geographically it is more feasible than to climb the very big hills and everything. So, economic disparities have also is the main cause of concern over here. Illegal migration and drug trade. We know Myanmar is very prone to this kind of things. The drug trade rise, the trafficking, human trafficking, children trafficking, women trafficking, this kind of things are very well associated with your Myanmar. So alleged illegal migration from Myanmar and increase of drug trade have increased the tension, especially in the Kuki dominated areas. Understand this, when people are residing in the hills part, where there is no development, there is no employment, there is no connection to your awareness kind of mindset, definitely whatever have been trafficked, the drug and all, the opium trafficking, which is happening from Myanmar to Manipur is directly going to the hills region. We can see there is a data which has been released by the Indian government saying that 58% of your young kooky boys and girls are prone to your opium abuse. You definitely know this kind of abuse will indirectly link with your psychological aspects, kind of violence, kind of rebellious attitude, kind of insurgency. For one, if I'm very well aware, if I know what is right and what is wrong, someone can't come and easily brainwash me. But if I am an opium addict, someone can come and easily brainwash me just by giving some kind of amount, I get I get attracted for this deal because I get the amount, I go and buy the drug. In order I can do any sort of things. So the brainwashing is easy when a person is opium addicted. So indirectly this is linked to your psychological behavior and the development as well. Also, breakdown of law and order. We have seen very big atrocities happening in the previous last year. We have seen a video got circulated where a woman was being, woman was being walked naked all over the streets surrounded by men and all. This kind of atrocities are being seen. Recently, there are n number of boys who got killed, murdered. Police stations are being burned. Even the law and order, army officials, even the police officers are losing their lives. So this kind of violence we can see in the region because of whatever the ethnic conflicts are ongoing. So a government have decided that enough is enough. It's time for us to impose president's rule and take over the control. And there's also a controversial statement telling that what is government doing till now until, is it waiting for some kind of deaths to come out, or is it waiting the violence to be so hiked? So this kind of violence are being seen. What are the consequences? Humanitarian crisis, obviously. Over 200 deaths are being noticed. There are destructions of homes, schools, places of worship. There's no bias over here. There's no gender bias. Women, children, men, everyone are into the conflicts. This chaos happening over here. Security implications. Deployment of central forces and imposition of curfews. Many a times we have seen AFSPA has been imposed in this region. AFSPA is nothing but your military takeover. When military has to take over a particular state or a country, that means the fail of government, fail of that particular political body. That kind of, extreme measures has to be taken. And economic impact, severe disruption of trade and commerce in the state. First of all, people are struggling to live and breathe over here. What kind of economic activities will be happening in this region when it is violence prone? Political fallout, criticism of the state and central governments for failing to manage the crisis effectively. Autonomous tribal councils are to be deployed. This is been discussed. If we see in recent video in Twitter, a political leader is coming out and thumping his chest and saying that we need autonomous council in this particular region because center and state are keeping quiet. That number of people losing their lives already. And now social division, deepening of your ethnic fault lines, making reconciliation efforts. See, when the region was not completely made as Manipur, whoever tribes were living, they were not just particularly living in the Manipur region. Kukis were also living in the down of Tripura and all such regions, and Nagas were living in your Nagaland and Assam region. Whatever conflict is today ongoing in Manipur region, all the people who are outside the state are also supporting them. This is making more worst of the situation. The ethnic fault lines are getting deepened because there is no, no measure still taken in this particular issue. What is government response? Deployment of forces, AFSPA. Your additional army, Assam Rifles, central paramilitary forces, restoring law of order has to be done. They said they are doing, but nothing has happened. Even Supreme Court is intervening and saying that it should do rehabilitation, including we need to have a special investigation teams. It has directed, but still nothing has happened. Humanitarian reliefs, set up your camps and whoever people are affected or the affected areas, set up camps and immediately provide your humanitarian relief. Peace talk has to be done with ongoing conflicted communities and the government at side and talk about whatever they want or listen to their demands. This is most suggested actually. And also, they have said that we need to impose 356 President's Rule, so that union government or the central government can directly take over the control of the state. So in this opportunity, we will learn what is 356. It enables union government to take over the governance of the state when there is a constitutional machinery failure. Okay, 356. See, related to center taking over, we know there are three kinds of emergencies: your national emergency, your financial emergency, and your state emergency, or else your president's rule. This is also called your state emergency and also your constitutional emergency. So this three kinds of emergency. So particular 356, your state emergency or your president's rule has to be imposed so that your union government can come in the picture and take over the legislative powers of that particular state. Your Article 355 gives the duty on the union to protect the state against your external aggression and your internal disturbance. Your Article 356 says, whenever there is a failure of constitutional machinery, when you believe that the state is going against the constitutional values, then union government has to come in the picture and take over the state legislative powers. 356. Exercise your legislative powers under the proclamation issued under 356. Whatever the 356 has been imposed, now you exercise the power, is what your 357 says. 365. Effect of failure to comply with or to give effect directions given by your union. Whenever state doesn't listen to union, that is when you also will impose this kind of emergencies in particular state. So 356 has to be imposed is what is suggested so that your union government will take over. What is the procedure? President will issue. See, in this case, two scenarios can happen. President can directly believe that there is a necessary for the union government to take over, and he can directly subject or he can directly impose the emergency. Or else, when a governor of that particular state will ask the president, see, so and so scenario is going on in this particular state, please try to consider to impose. So there are two things. Whatever happens, it has to be judicially reviewed. That is a different case. So president issues proclamation of emergency, assuming that the government and the legislature or the government or the legislature is not functioning according to your constitutional framework. Such a proclamation must be, it should just be accepted by one house. No, it should be accepted by both the houses of the parliament within 2 months. This is very important. And this kind of proclamation will be valid until your 6 months. If you wanted to exceed after 6 months, again you ask for the permission from the parliament and try to exceed. And the maximum it can be for 3 years. Beyond 3 years, it is considered national emergency. So what are the safeguards? Is it like superpower to the union government? No. Judiciary in its very famous S.R. Bommai case has said that whatever president believes or the union government believes or the governor believes that there should be imposition of president's rule, that should surpass the judicial eye. So important case, S.R. Bommai case. Supreme Court can strike down that kind of proclamation if it found that it is unconstitutional or malified. At times it can happen when there is two different parties ruling in the center and the state. Parliamentary approval is very important, and since the time frame is given, there is some kind of restriction to curb the superpowers of your union government. Landmark cases. Back then in 1977 itself, Supreme Court said that your imposition of president's rule is discretionary power of your president, and in S.R. Bommai case, whatever this discretionary power is there, that has to surpass your judicial eye. So judicial review is our basic structure, as we know. So it's very important. So what are the uses and misuse of this? Frequent imposition will be happening. It has been imposed more than 10, cut that. It has imposed more than 100 times since independence. It's not like today suddenly something has happened in the state where center is coming in. No. already 100 times, it is crossed 100 times since independence where the president rule has to be imposed. Example, in the bracket of 77 to 79 itself, several Congress ruled state governments where Janta government was in the center, they imposed president rule on your Congress ruled governments. This is kind of a mismatch. Some kind of personal things will be there. In 1991 in Tamil Nadu, they imposed on the fear that it was being supported by your LTTE presence. And in 2002, when our famous Gujarat communal riots has happened where the train and everything got burned out, during that time as well, president rule has been imposed. In year 2016 in Arunachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, overturned by the judiciary. In this cases also, it has been imposed. So this is not the first time where India is seeing such kind of demands, but many a times it has been imposed to curb the violence or to curb the instability happening in that particular state. Next, what are the reforms suggested? Whenever you wanted to impose such kind of things, consider to ask your legislature, state legislature. So your federal, there will be kind of a cooperative federalism. Judiciary oversight. Since it's a basic structure, this has to be adhered to that judiciary review. Transparent guidelines. You have to define what is a failure of the constitutional you have to define what is a constitutional failure happening in that particular state. Be clear and transparent. You can't just say it in the air that okay, that particular state needs union government now. No. You need a proper transparent guidelines why it has been needed. And limitations and extensions. If you wanted to extend or a long-term central control, it has to be there, means it can't be according to your democratic norms. So there should be limit, and for your extending also there should be a proper and a strict review why union government is asking for the extension. Yeah, so this was all about your 356, which is president's rule, and whatever the Manipur violence is happening, the whole background and a brief discussion. See, this is how you link your current affairs. It's not just a daily news. You have read that article that okay, Manipur violence is happening. You'll get deep hurted or some kind of sentiments being imposed. Leave it. Okay, as a citizen, it's all fine. But as a civil service aspirant, every news you need to turn as your subject matter or subject related topic. This is how you will stand out of the crowd. So this topic you can link with your internal security as well as your governance part. So try to solve this question. This is asked regarding your article 356. In the next video, we'll see the answer for this.